A convertible collar is a collar without the stand, and in this case I make my collar pieces here, one with and one without interlining. Then I got my front and back sewn together at the shoulder. With this one I also got a facing all in one, because often a convertible collar is meant so that when it's open you still got the front the outer fabric to be seen here. Now I also made a facing for the back so it looks nice when it's on a hanger. First of all, let's see if I open up like this. The facing are supposed to be placed here. Now first of all I put it here and stitch it afterwards. Now here it's supposed to be, and over here, and you'll see now my neckline in a second is a round circle, so I can place my collar here in between. So let's just start doing this. 1 centimeter of seam allowance as usual, more or less. And the other one as well. As you might see, I have already overlocked the edge of the facing, both front and back. Now you see, now I've got here my neckline to place my collar in between. It has to be ironed, but I'll just put it aside and I'll do my collar before ironing, then I can do both at the same time. I got here my collar, place it right against right, like this. Where this is my neckline, I'm not supposed to stitch it down there, I'm supposed to stitch it at the top line and the front line. So I'm going to do that. In this case, because my collar is quite curvy, they can have different shapes. I'm only using, I'm only using 1/2 centimeter because of the collar shape. Otherwise I need to cut it afterwards. Now let's get going. So I'll stitch it. Turn and the top here. Make sure you make nice corners. Both corners are supposed to be alike, otherwise it won't work. It will see a little bit odd. And now we've got our collar here. Before turning the right side out of it, I cut away my corners so it won't be bumpy. And now it is possible to turn the right side out of it. And we've got our collar. Of course it needs some ironing, and I'm going to do that now together with the first part I made. Now I have ironed my seams here in the facing, and you see now I got the inside on my shirt. Here I got my collar ironed, and I make sure that it is displaced here in the seam just 1 millimeter. Now opening up, this one is the front, that's what to be seen. This is the lower collar. Now I would like to finish this by making a top stitching, and whenever you do a top stitching you've got to do it from the front, because the top stitching at the front looks the best. So I'll just do that 2 millimeter from the edge and just stitch it. And again, you don't need to. This is just a way of doing. You can do it either with or without a top stitching. And now we've got our collar, and it's time to place it at the neckline. So I start opening up like this. So I got the circle here. Then I place my collar. Of course, remember, this is the side to be seen. Here I have some notches. I got a notch here telling me where to fold it. I got another notch, that's to where my collar goes. So I place it here to that notch. Then I made a notch for the shoulder part as well. Place that, and you see I place both collars in one way, and I do that all the way. Over here it's again to the notch here, not to the folded, and my shoulder notch as well. Here and the back. Now if you find the next step complicated, you can easily do a stitching now just to keep it, because sometimes a lot of people find this to be a little bit too much when I do everything in one. But now I place this, now I take my facing, turn it like that, fold it here in the folding notch, and now comes the little thing I'm placing upon the seam again. Take my pin and move it to the top part, because what I am doing is that I'm stitching through all layer at one time. But as I say, it can be, for some people it can be a little bit hard and a little bit difficult, and I got to admit I have tried this before a lot of times, so practice makes you better, like this. So now you see I got my collar here in between of layers, and let's just have it all placed. And of course, what is the complicated thing is to make sure you got all layers and you still got it in line. And now my collar is between these layers, so if after sewing it will look like this, but I'll do it now. And make sure sometimes this, when you move your pin, this front thing can fall down, so you've got to make sure it's up. Now stitch it 1 centimeter. And now, of course, it's important not to get any foldings, because that's not what we want. We just want it to look beautiful. And make sure your seams are still splitted. But of course it's 2 curves going each way, and that can give a little bit of problems. Oh, sorry, now I pushed it. That was not good. Let me see, yes, if I can save it again. And again, check my seams. And again, make sure you got your collar up so it's not falling down. Attach, and we're done. Now if I turn it around, you'll see now I got my collar here in between of layers, and we have a collar here. Now to make sure, if I just turn it around, I can get some troubles, because I got my seam allowance here, and that can kind of keep it so it won't be as nice as it could be. So I'm just cutting some small notches here, and my scissor is not the best for that, so I've got to take another one. That's better. Some notches here in the curve to assure it looks nice afterwards. And when I've done this, it's possible to iron and to turn it in a proper way. So now I can take my front piece, get it like that, and after ironing I got a beautiful collar. So I'll just iron so you can see the result. Now we got here our collar. You see, I got the facing at back, I got the facing here at front, and I got my collar in between of layers. And in the end it would look like that. You can actually open it up so it looks a little bit like a lapel. But here you see what is frustrating is all of this. Now to keep it down, I place my seam upon each other at the shoulder and stitch it here in the shadow of the seam so it won't be seen as such. It's just to keep that facing down. One side and in a second one, and we actually done our collar. So now you see it's kept much better down. Of course you can, if you like to, make a top stitching here, but again, as usual, that's part of the design. This is just the basic, like that, and you got a convertible collar. Did you like what you just seen, and do you want to learn more? Then subscribe. I'll constantly develop and upload new things, all based upon the professional way of sewing. All the best from me, and good luck with your work.